Those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all Nerds International. With the hyphen.
Alright, YouTube, it's Mr. Mean coming at you from kinda sunny Beaumont, Texas, where we haven't had our daylight savings yet, so it's getting dark real early. I think a week after Halloween or something like that. Anyway, no big deal. Anyway, it's sunny out. It's nice. But today's video du jour is a blast from the past, respectively 1989. But guess what? Still going strong. What can I say? This is one I have a love-hate relationship with because I love the setting, I love the genre, I loved most of the art, hated the mechanics. And that's Shadowrun. Haven't done a review of this yet. This is the 5th edition. I also have the 20th anniversary edition. And I picked it up like at a discount bin. I don't remember. I got it dirt cheap. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll get it because it's good for the collection. It was leather bound and it was real nice. But this first came out in 1989 by FASA Corporation, F-A-S-A. And they put out Battletech and Mech Warrior. And they did, they had these really cool action figure sized, basically Shadowrun characters. You had a dwarf, you had an orc, there was an elf, and they came with little teeny tiny dice, and they were on a base. And the base came off, the bottom part of the base came off, and the dice were in there with a tape measure, a cloth like tape measure. Anyway, super cool. I don't remember what they were called, but it was actually a pretty fun game. But they were big, and you could change weapons. And each weapon had different prices. But this is not a review of that. But man, if you get a chance to pick any of those up, pick them up. They're super cool. They were kind of ahead of their time, I think. The game didn't do well, and I think now you can find it in a discount bin if you look hard enough, or some of those old toy stores. But anyway, Shadowrun 5th edition. This bad boy has been on the block for a long time, and I think my book is bent. That annoys me. I have all of my game books in boxes, basically moving boxes, and they're pretty well packaged in there, but for some reason this looks like it got damaged, like the spine is coming out or something. I don't know. I can contact Catalyst because it hasn't been played, and that's part of the love-hate relationship because I love this game. Yeah, it looks like it's falling apart. That kind of sucks. But Catalyst is a great company. I know I can contact them, and they'll. It's not a collector's edition. It is just normal off-the-shelf copy. They'll reimburse me. As usual with all my role-playing games that I review, art is a big thing for me. This is mostly full-color art. It's on high glossy paper. It weighs in at about, let's see, how many pages is it? The last 2 pages are a character sheet. There's a Shadowrun random run generator, which is kind of cool. We are looking at 479 pages about. The inside and backside covers have cool full color art. It's really nice. The book, as opposed to 3rd and 4th edition that used a very black and white art, that it seems like it was some of the same artists that Palladium used for a lot of their books, and I was not a fan of it. I wish I could remember the artist's name, and I don't have those books out that I can look. But that line art that was kind of fuzzy, and I didn't like it. It wasn't my cup of tea. The art in here though is ultra. I don't want to say ultra modern because it's a modern game, but it's very, some of it's very slick. I mean, like here's a picture of the Matrix, and that's very reminiscent of the art in this book, and it is pretty much full color. There's a couple black and white little small pages of art, but each chapter is prefaced by a nice piece of art. The charts are very laid out. The book is laid out really well. I mean, for 479 pages, you get you get your bang for your buck here. A lot of short fiction in here, which is really cool. I was just trying to find a cool piece of art because, you know, when I'm not in front of the camera, I could flip right to the art and it would be no problem. But of course, now that I'm trying to find a cool piece of art, I can't. And I would have been professional and bookmarked a page with the art in it, and that would have been awesome. But, well, that's not what you're watching me for. You like it because I'm haphazard and crazy and wonky and nothing's production quality here, baby. Yeah, there's a good one. Nice. Looks like a cyberdoc doing his thing, if I can get it in the frame there. So, yeah, the art's pretty solid throughout the whole book. First edition was published in 1989. The current edition is the 5th edition. In 2009, there was a 20th anniversary issue, which I said is that leather-looking cover with it had the Shadowrun dragon on it. The cool thing about this, and I kind of knew it, but I didn't know it officially, is that it's the same world as Earth Dawn. So if you prefer fantasy, but you like basically the world of Shadowrun or the way they do things, then Earth Dawn might be the game. And I'll do a separate review of Earth Dawn whenever I magically pull it out of one of the boxes, because I do have it. And I have the Shadowrun version of, or not Shadowrun, the Savage World version of Shadowrun. I picked it up for a steal. Some company was blowing it out. It's like 5 or 6 books. I mean, in their digest size, they're small books, but they're packed and they got great art in them. You know, it's that black and white art that, like, from 4th edition. And while I say it's great, it fits the Earth Dawn genre much better than it does the Shadowrun genre. So if you're a fan of this system, you like the mechanics, then you'll like Earth Dawn because it's very similar mechanics. There's some things that are tweaked and a little bit different, but it's the same world. It's just obviously this is the world of the future, and that's the world of you know, the past. It was originally produced by Fossa Corporation, and they kind of went under or folded, and then it got bought or taken over by Catalyst Games. And Catalyst is owned by some other company. I don't remember exactly who that is, but I'll put a link in the show notes to the Catalyst website. They have a very nice website. You can they even have cool art. So, you know, if you do your own GM screen kind of thing, you don't want the Shadowrun GM screen, you want to make your own, you can download a lot of their art. There's obviously, over the years, this game has been extremely well supported. I'm not a fan of the mechanics. I love the world, love the fiction, love all of the splat books they've come out with. It was always bang for your buck. When you bought the Magic book or the Sprawl book, or you bought one of the little box sets like the Toolkit that came out with, I think, 4th or 5th edition, they were awesome. You had bang for your buck. Really cool stuff. I mean, it was just well done. But I never was a fan of the mechanics. I don't like them. I don't like D6 based games. That being said, it's not always true, because I am a huge fan of the Fantasy Age system, or Fantasy Age adventure game engine by Green Ronin, the guys that also do Dragon Age. That mechanic is a 3d6 system. I absolutely adore that system. It's one of my favorite systems to run. So I can't really say I hate d6 systems, even though I would like to say I do. I don't. There are a couple of game systems. I like Fudge. Fudge uses a modified d6 with plus, minus, and blanks. And that's a d6 die. Let's see, what else is also a d6 system that I actually play? I am drawing a blank right now. Any of the Modifius games use d6s, but they use them only for damage. Everything else is d20s, so can't really kind of count that one. But you don't use a d6 for task resolution. Shadowrun, you use d6. This is a dice pool mechanic. You have a karma pool. You have a couple other different pools, willpower, and basically you figure out what your attribute and your skill is. You buy your skills at the point buy system. And then you convert that into dice pools, and then that's how many dice you roll. And you're looking for hits, or in this case, 5s or 6s. And the GM will set the difficulty by the number of hits that you need to generate or garner a success. Adjust my camera here a little bit. Boop. So basically, the GM says, you're trying to pick a lock, and you've got tools, and you've got everything, and you got time. It may only be 2 successes. So you look at your lock picking skill, which would probably be based off of whatever parent attribute. If you were physically picking a lock, it'd probably be dexterity. If you were looking at schematics, it would be intelligence or whatever. So, and then you choose the best attribute and skill. The game already, once you build a character, you'll have all your dice pools. You'll pick up that many dice and you'll chuck them. Anything that comes up a 5 and a 6, you're golden. If you get, in this case, 2 5s or any variation of a 5 and a 6, and you get 2 of them, then you have succeeded. Plus or minus modifiers. Modifiers take or add dice to the dice pool. Let's see, what else is major about it? Wounds are their own little thing. I'm not going to get into it. I don't like the mechanics of the game. Is it a bad game? No. If you don't mind the crunch and you don't mind working with those D6 mechanics and it works for you, go for it. The cool thing about this is if you've never played Shadowrun and you like fantasy and sci-fi mixed, this is the awesome game. You've got elves, dwarves, trolls, dragons, pixies, ghouls, vampires, you name it. Everything in the kitchen sink is in here in a dystopian future, not too far in the future. 2066, I think, is the default time frame. I don't know if it tells us on here. It doesn't. I don't remember what the default year is. Man, I'm horrible. I think it's 2050. No, that's an archive. That's the old. I think it's 2060. Anyway, someone will post in the notes below, a diehard Shadowrun fan. But the bottom line is, Mr. Mean's opinion of the game. It's a good game. If you're not sure, if you've never played it, or your gaming group wants to try something that mixes fantasy and technology, this is a good game. It's set in a dystopian future. Technology is everywhere, but yet magic exists. The fantastical races, your fantasy races exist, and they get along and they survive in this dystopian future where the corporations run everything and pretty much own everything. And it's a very kind of, I don't want to say it's a dark world, it's a dismal world. It's very dystopian. So if you're into that kind of thing and you like technology, but yet you still want to swing a sword, you can definitely do that in this game. So the cool part about this, and one of the reasons I really respect Shadowrun, is for as long as I can remember, they've always had what they call a primer. You can download a freebie of this game. Basically, it's a little pamphlet that you could print out. I recommend you print it black and white because it'll eat up a color cartridge in a heartbeat. But it's 30 or so pages, and it comes with some pre-generated characters. And it's a starting adventure. It's everything you need to play a game and get going with it. And if you decide you like it, you can buy the rule book. This one ran me $55.99. Oh, excuse me, $60. No, it's 490 pages, I think. Did I say it was 479? I think. Yeah, about 479 pages. So just short of 500 pages for $60. It's not too bad. And like I said, that's a complete game. You don't really need to buy anything else. Of course, all the other Splat books are just going to give you more options and more variations, but the core mechanics and everything you need is in here. You don't have to go buy anything else. You don't need to buy the GM screen. You don't need to buy the other Splat books, the Magic book, the Seattle Sprawl book. They're nice to haves. And of course, game companies stay in business by putting more books out for you to buy with interesting and new material to upgrade your game. You don't have to buy them. Most role-playing games you can get by with just the core book and or monster manual or antagonist book, handbook, whatever you want to call it. Shadowrun has a monster manual, but there's enough in here in the core rule book to get you going. So the nice part is, again, $60, you've got a complete game. There's a lot of free material on Catalyst website. I'll make sure I put a link in the show notes. You can go download some adventures. Their forums are pretty active. You can download adventures off the forum for free. So it's a very, very well supported game. And if you have the disposable income or you have the income that you want to spend, you can buy a lot of stuff. This company also openly supports PDF. Yes, I'm throwing a ding out to WotC. you can buy this game in PDF. So if you're not sure and the trial, the intro starter kit didn't do it for you, but you're not sure you want to buy the physical book and you don't mind reading off of a tablet or your laptop, by all means, buy the PDF, try it out, and if you like it, hey, Mr. Mean has done his job, and I can chalk up another one to helping people out. It's a rich setting. It's got a set of novels behind it. There must be 20 novels out there. They're, for the most part, they're all good. I've read the first 9, I think it is. And they've been out for a long time. In fact, the original writer of the first 3 novels was passed. I don't remember his name, but he passed. And it was Never Deal with a Dragon, Never Trust an Elf, and I forgot the third one. But phenomenal books, very well done. Just really, really good books. So if you like reading, fiction in your game world, those books are phenomenal. If you like just a well thought out and fleshed out world, this is a good game for you. And of course, if you like fantasy and sci-fi, mixed, this is the game. The players start out as what's called Shadowrunners. They're the guys that live in the cracks of society. They're not the wealthy. They don't get into a lot of places, but they have their own places. There's a subculture underneath the culture, and a Shadowrun is in that subculture. You're sinless. Sin is a system identification number, and to be sinless means you're not a person. You don't exist in the corporate eyes. If you work for the corpse, and corpse is short for corporation, then you have a sin, basically a social security card, and you're trackable. So obviously Shadowrunners are the guys that do the dirty work and the ugly jobs. They don't want to be trackable. They don't want to do a job and then their picture gets taken and they go, oh, he lives at do-do-do-do, and then the Lone Star, which is one of the local police firms, comes knocking at your door. You don't want that. So you're sinless, and you're basically a criminal. Because of the fact that you are sinless means you're a criminal. There's just no way around it. Technology is pretty high tech. The Matrix is, just think Matrix from the movies for the most part. You have an avatar. You can die in the Matrix, and if your form dies in the Matrix, usually the biofeedback is enough to kill your character in the real world. There are ways around it and buffers and things that you can put in place to keep your character from dying. But usually early starting level characters don't have that opportunity or don't have that equipment. They're not to say they can't get it, but it's pretty hard. But that being the case, the GM tailors the adventure to the players, and hopefully you're not going around killing your players like Mr. Mean does. I'm known for killing characters. But it's a fun game. I really love the setting. I'm not a fan of the mechanics, and I don't. Maybe that's because I never found a good GM. It could very well be. I mean, my good friend Brian Isaacoff, he runs a phenomenal game. I really like playing in his games, although it's been many years since I've got to play with him. But I'm not even sure I would like Shadowrun if he ran it. So I don't remember him ever running it for us. We may have tried it one night, but a lot of times it devolved into drinking and shooting the shit, and we never got any gaming done. I'm not opposed to that. If everybody's having a good time, that's all that matters. But so that's really all I got for Shadowrun. Like I said, it's been around. It used to be FOSSA. It's now Catalyst Games. There's a cool wiki out there. If you just do Shadowrun wiki, it'll tell you a lot about the game. The 20th anniversary, it's a red cover, is still available. I think you can even buy it off a Catalyst website. But yeah, I found mine, like I said, in a discount bookstore. And I got it for, I don't know, $10 maybe. I mean, it might have even been cheaper than that. So look around. You might even find it on eBay for a decent price, or Amazon. The current version, like I said, is available in hardback or PDF. There's a number of what they call toolkits out there. I believe there's 2. There's one for for the 20th anniversary, I think, and then there's one for 5th edition or 4th edition and 5th edition. I don't remember. There's a Seattle toolbox, which was really cool. I have it as well. These were just boxes, and if you're a grognard like me, you love your game boxes. It came with pre-generated characters, and it came with some dice, came with cards for the equipment, so it told you what all the different equipment did. You know, was there everything in the book? No, but there was quite an assortment. Ares Predator is a big handgun. It had a card and it had all the stats on it for you and everything. So, yeah, this one it's a buy. Even if you play the game and you go, Mr. Mean, you're right, I don't like the mechanics. You can go on the web and you can do a search for Shadowrun Savage Shadowrun, and you will find I don't know, it's about 30 to 60 page PDF that somebody put together using the Savage Worlds rules and the world background from Shadowrun. So it's Savage Shadowrun, and it's excellent. If you're a Savage Worlds fan, and I am, then that might be a good alternative to you if you don't like the D6 mechanic. And, you know, I don't particularly care for it. So if given the opportunity to play, I would play. The GM would have to be excellent for me to continue playing, because I'm not a fan of the mechanics. It just bores me. I don't like it. But that being said, it is a good game world, and of course it can be transferred to Savage Worlds, or Fudge, or Fate could do it as well. I've seen some conversions out there using the Fate system and the Fudge system, and of course Savage Worlds. So yeah, there's options. So, but give it a try. Download the primer, the free preview or whatever. Read it, run it for your group, or ask your GM to run it, and see if you like it. I mean, it's definitely a cool world. There's no doubt about that. Mechanics are not for everybody. Some people don't mind a D6 system. I just don't. That doesn't make it a bad system, because it is. Yeah, something in my tooth there. Does make it a good, you know, doesn't make it, just because I don't like it doesn't make it a bad system. It's just not the system for me. But it is a good game. It's a buy in my book. I have I think 2nd edition, 3rd and 4th edition, and I have 5th edition, and I have the 20th anniversary. So I have more Shadowrun than I need. And I have several of the Splat books, especially for 4th edition. But they were fully compatible with 5th edition. They made a change and they came out. I don't know why they did it. They had just come out with 4th edition, and then I want to say less than 2 years. Maybe it was more, but I thought it was less than 2 years, and then they came out with 5th edition. So, but you can't go wrong. If you pick up 4th edition, I don't think the rules changes are that extreme that you couldn't play it. The nice thing is most of all the Shadowrun material is available in PDF, and the old adventures you can port right over, simple mechanics change, and you're good to go. So anyway, that's what Mr. Mean thinks of Shadowrun. Go out and buy it, or at least add it to your collection, or at least if you get a chance to go to a convention and play it, give it a shot. Catalyst has kept up a very fine tradition, and they've made a great product even better. And so I think it's definitely worth your time to give it a try and play it. At least try it once, and if you don't like it, then you never ever have to play it again. But I guarantee you it is definitely a cool read for all the short stories that are in there. And they do that in all their books. I don't think I've picked up a book that doesn't have some amount of short fiction in it, which that alone makes it worth the book for the most part. If you like that type of fiction, or science fiction, fantasy fiction, I'm not quite sure what we call it. Anyway, so that's what Mr. Mean thinks of Shadowrun. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I want to keep it a little short. We're only running at about 23 and a half minutes. So as always, peace and hair grease, and remember, be nice.